Hi, everybody. It's Tom and Tom, the podcasting phenomena here on YouTube. And we are, as you know, always talking about some aspect of intentional culture. And today, we're going to talk about culture writ large a little bit. And Tom's going to explain it to us.
Fletcher. But you and I meet with a bunch of friends from around the world on a lot of Fridays, including today, which when we're recording this. And one of our friends from Europe was demonstrating a little analysis he does looking inside of your business, simply looking inside of your business by looking at your public documents, specifically your website, other things that you produce. And I so like that idea, the idea that culture really does begin to run through everything that you do. And we have on our website a quiz that talks about doing an analysis of your culture. But we don't even need you to answer questions. We can
We know
actually
where
just
you live.
know where you live, you put it online, and we talk a lot in the book and in these books about hiring for EQ as well as IQ. And in a sense, it's a big theme of the book. It's at least in Sides of Ceremony that we take seriously teaching and training people to do exceptional work. And we've shared stories about that, about hiring people to be programmers who haven't programmed before because we have such a great system to teach them how to program. And it's like your culture leaks out to the rest of the world in your job postings.
More than any place else.
It's the place we can look and get a profound insight into your function and your dysfunction by how you go and look for people.
Right. If you read a job posting that says, screw work life balance, you're expected to work in excess of 50 hours a week. And you see a lot of things about performance metrics and goals and things like that. That language says something both good and bad about the culture. It's not like I'm saying, oh, this is all horrible. But it does say a lot about your culture, is the point.
I'll give one of my favorite examples. This is something I noticed a long time ago. I'll date this. You can look up the dates. But I was looking at a job posting, and they were like, "We're looking for somebody with 5 years of Java programming experience." And I was like, "Well, that's interesting because Java's only been out for 3 years."
Well, but you can get 5 years of experience in 3 years. And that's the problem with using years as your benchmark.
You and I actually know that. We will talk about having 10 years. Some people are at a company for 10 years and have 1 year's worth of experience.
10 times.
And some people are at a company at 10 years and they get 10 years worth of experience.
Right.
But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about you are so out of touch with what experience is and how to measure it. And you are so out of touch with the technologies you're hiring for that you make a fundamental error. And it tells us a lot about your culture.
Yeah.
Tells me one, you measure experience in years.
Right.
Tells me two, whoever wrote this isn't the technologist, or if it is the technologist, they don't even understand the technology they're recruiting for.
Right. Well,
and it tells me three, you think you should be asking for it. you and I would hire someone to program in Java with no Java experience because we don't consider that the thing we're hiring for.
The thing that I wanted to interject there and failed to do is like what you just described is also an alignment problem. And we were talking this morning, we were starting out really talking about alignment, which we have another really excellent podcast on. But this is a good example of where you see an ad for a job and you can see misalignment right in the ad for the job without knowing anything more than just what it says. That somebody didn't talk to somebody else and they did something that you know is misaligned.
Which allows us to do a alignment diagnostic simply on your job posting.
Right.
You can see that in every type of I mean, I've looked just because of my career mostly at marketing job postings and technology job postings, like a software developer, programmer, architect. And boy, you can, in my field, in the software side of my field, it's like I can see so much about misalignment and just how they describe the skills they want an architect to have. I can see weird alignment when they sometimes are advertising for a marketing position and they start listing very specific vertical technical skills they want you to have.
Yeah. Like
We
must
haven't
have
built that.
Hootsuite experience. Why would you limit your candidates to whether they know your tool that you're using? Like,
Yeah.
how long did it take you to learn it? A week? 2 weeks? A month? So what? It's nothing in the grand scheme of things.
We could just right now, we could probably go out to most technology companies or companies that are hiring technologists and immediately spot whether they are aware even of where AI is. Because if you're aware of where AI is, you stop asking almost all of these questions.
Right. Irrelevant.
It's just irrelevant. It's like, all right, we can determine their internal culture issues. We can demonstrate that they are, and it's right now, it's probably close to a year behind the times.
Yeah.
And we're talking about being a year behind the times where each year now moves as if it was 10 in the past. So metaphorically, you're 10 years behind the times.
Right.
That's a cultural tell because of what you're asking for in your job offerings.
And furthermore, the tools that you're using are all undergoing transformations of their own. Like, I mentioned Hootsuite. Like right now, Hootsuite has a bunch of menus and options and fields to fill in and all this kind of stuff. That's all going away. We already see it happening. In another 6 months to a year, they'll have probably put an AI front end on it, and you just tell the thing what you want, and it does whatever all that stuff you used to have to know. I mean, you don't need to know it anymore.
You'll enter into a conversation with it, which is what I already do to make, $1 million worth of software. And we're at the point where you can build, if you know what you're doing with AI, you can build $1 million worth of software in a couple of weeks with one person and a computer who understands what they want.
I would argue.
I know that's crazy sounding.
I would argue, Tom, and I made this case a few times to people who say, oh, like I have an idea, but I don't know enough about AI to, build a development environment and create a system that will do, that will help me build the thing. I'm like, you don't need that even. You can use AI. Like this morning, I decided I wanted to see if I could get Gemini to help me build a development environment, an agentic development environment in Google. And I just asked it, what are the Google tools? And it said, you need this and this. And I said, okay, which one's first? That one. How do I spin that up? And here's a link. I click it. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm setting the thing up. I mean, I just know what I want. I don't know.
At the end, it's working.
If you don't know something, you just ask it. Like, I want to make sure that this app is scalable to 1 billion users and super secure. It's like, okay, well, you need to do that. I mean, you don't like have to know anything. You just have to know what you want.
I forget when this year, but it's probably just a couple months ago. I started noticing people who were writing articles about something that they had done that was really significant. And they're like, if you want, you can go to my GitHub and you can download this. But really what you should just do is just feed this article into your AI and let it build something that's appropriate for you.
It's like, no learning curve required.
It's like, my GitHub, your AI knows you better and what you're doing better. And you want the types of agentic features I'm talking about. They're all in this article. I told you everything we know.
It's striking, though, that people like create barriers based on what they don't know that aren't even there. Like they think, oh, I can't do that. I don't know anything about, like, you know what you don't know. I'm like, I don't need to know what I don't know. I don't need to. I just need to know what I know and what I want. And the AI will take it from there. It really will. I mean, and so to your point, like if you're in a culture that doesn't get this, that doesn't embrace it, I would run away, because they're doomed to fail.
Start using your evenings and weekends to spend a little time exploring it yourself, because it's changing that fast, and you really do want to be on board. Because a culture that isn't able to do this now just isn't going to survive.
Yeah.
That sounds more depressing. I kind of want to end on a happier note.
Well,
the happier note is you can do almost anything you think about by leveraging these tools. And if you have a successful business and it's running well and it's going well, take a little bit more seriously maybe than you ever have what we talk about in Wildly Successful, the Intentional Culture Cookbook. Now is the time to really hone your culture for people who are to support and embrace curiosity, experimentation, and an aspect of continuous learning. Because it has never in the history of humanity been easier to learn something than it is right now.
Right.
And that's pretty awesome.
It's like, amazing. And I don't want to belabor the point, but if you're looking at a job posting and they're not talking about AI skills at this point, they're missing a fundamental thing that every business owner who's on top of the world right now, not I mean on top of the world, but on top of things going on in the world right now, realize that if they could hire a kid out of college with no experience, who doesn't know anything except how to use AI to get stuff done. That's all they know. And if you give that person a good, clear vision and mission and values to go with it, that's enough. Once they know what you're trying to get to, that's enough. It may be even better than having your head clouded with a bunch of old stuff that's irrelevant now. And that one kid, I say kid, obviously they're adults, but when you get old, you start calling older and older people kids.
So you and I, 35-year-olds, are kids.
But these young folks, without 10 years of experience, you know, if they know how to leverage AI, then when you hire that one person, you're getting 15, 20, or 50 people.
Yeah.
Because they know how to spin up agents and have them doing things, and so you've basically just hired 50 people. Whereas if you hire somebody who, like, no, I don't do AI, I'm a craftsperson, I do everything, meticulously myself, fine. You just hired one person. Which
Yeah.
would you rather have? 50 for one paycheck or one for one paycheck? Take your pick.
I want the craftsman in certain things. I kind of want that person making my pizza
For now.
and maybe my wood furniture
As I'm fond of saying, for now.
for now. That's our message for the day. Your culture is, what's fun about your culture is we can see it everywhere, and we can see our own failings in our own communications. We can see our successes in our communications, and so can everyone else. And it's gonna just be a short time, if it's not already here, where people will be using their AI to understand your culture before they even choose to do business with you.
True story.
So probably time to ride that wave and get on top of things.
Right. Now I'm curious if you are not you, Tom, but you there in YouTube land have embraced agentic AI. Are you how many agents do you have working for you at the office now? If the answer is none, I'd be interested to hear why that is. And if the answer is a lot, I'd love to hear in the comments how you're using it, because I think a lot of people would find that really interesting. I know I would.
Yeah.
And hopefully you found this podcast a little interesting enough that you will click the subscribe button. It's there. It's that oval thing that says subscribe, or pill-shaped, I guess. And we would love to chat with you. If you want to know how to spread AI through your organization, we can help you with that. If you want to get a culture that's suitable for an AI-driven organization, we can help you with that. Just reach out at beintentional.biz.
Yeah. I already know the topic for the next time we meet. So it's like, it's getting good. We're going to be having a lot of fun, and we look forward to seeing you the next time.
Take care.